He has been practicing yoga for many years. He is a disciple of Saint Sri Ashramji Babu. He took initiation in 1999, and he is in the line of Advaita Vedanta. He has been volunteering his time for yoga and a yoga teacher and a Sanskrit teacher at the temple here. So we are really fortunate to have him here. Today he is going to talk about the very important one, the very fundamental key concept of yoga, Bhramacharya, the basis of all yogas. Let me welcome Venkat Arwalaji.
Bhramacharya. Sure, most of us have heard about it. I mean, we have our own meaning, one understanding about what is Bhramacharya and why is it important and how to practice. We try to practice Bhramacharya and stuff. But in this course, as I said, it is the basis of all yogas. Everything that we learn today, to be able to do that, and also not just what we're doing here today, but even everything that we do, to be able to succeed in it, Bhramacharya is the basis, it is the fundamental thing. So, having a very clear understanding of what it is from various angles is very, very essential.
It is audible.
So we'll start with basically understanding what is Bhramacharya. We'll learn it from the scriptures, from the saints, and then why is it important? We'll try to understand and analyze it. It's not because it was taught to us, but try to understand the physiology behind it. Why is it important? How does it help us and stuff in everything that we do? And then how can we practice it? Because we all try and we fail many times, but we still try. And so how can we, what are the effective techniques that we can learn to be able to practice it and stuff? So this is a topic that's not very openly discussed, but it's very, very important to understand this. It's like you have a hole in the bucket and you're trying to fill it. So you will only get so much out of it. So we'll try to understand the importance. It's something that's very, very stressed in, very highly emphasized by pretty much everybody. So we'll start without any further delay. As I said, so this is the agenda that we have here today, which is what is Bhramacharya, why is Bhramacharya important, and we'll understand it both from scripturally and from scientifically as well. You will be, I'm sure, through this presentation by the course, you'll be really surprised at what you know of it and what it is actually. It is an eye-opener to me, and it has been an eye-opener to many people. So I feel I expect the same thing here. So we'll learn how, when we talk about Bhramacharya, we think it is only for the people, for the sannyasis or something like that. We'll try to understand what is Bhramacharya for householders, and various techniques to achieve Brahmacharya. So let's get started. So Brahmacharya literally means achara or conduct that leads to the realization of Brahman or knowing oneself. So as it said, as you said, yoga is basically union. Or yoga is union of what? Union of the self with the supreme. Or in other words, is knowing the self itself. Knowing yourself is yoga. So there is no way you can attain yoga without Brahmacharya. The technical meaning, it is like self-restraint. Restraint of our sexual organs from basically lust, thought, in all ways, not just physically Brahmacharya, but Brahmacharya in thought, word and deed. Said Brahmacharya is purity in thought, word and deed. It means the control of the sexual fluid, study of Vedas, and contemplation on God. That is Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya, when we talk about Brahmacharya, we think Brahmachari is one who is not married or one who stays away from the opposite sex. That is not. Brahmacharya is not just physical Brahmacharya, both thought, word, and deed. It is very, very important. As we go through it, you'll learn why it is important, and we'll learn like what our saints has to say about it. So Patanjali Yoga, Patanjali, you all must be familiar. So the founder of the Ashtanga Yoga. He says Brahmacharya, he mentions it in the very first limb of Ashtanga Yoga, and it's stated as the most important of the 5 yamas. We can't achieve anything in yoga without the first limb, going to the first limb. I mean, without Brahmacharya. That's the forefront of it. Yajnavalkya Samhita says, abstaining from copulation, not just physically, but physically, orally, and mentally, in all actions at all times, is Brahmacharya. Great sage Vyasa says, to renounce the pleasures of sense organs, self-restraint is Brahmacharya. So, why do we have to renounce it? Because with yoga, what are we trying? We are always going out. We are always outward and stuff. So why do we do meditation? We do meditation to draw ourselves inwards, to go to the roots, to find out who we are. How can we find who we are by going out and looking through the senses and stuff? Is there any place where we go, we find out, I mean even God for that matter, to know God, to see God? Do you think we can go to a certain place or see something and realize, okay, there He is a God and stuff? So everything is pointing us to draw us inside. So the deity out is to point us to the deity inside and stuff. So there's no way you can attain that without Brahmacharya and stuff. Even to lead, just you may be people like, I just want a healthy body, I want to stay fit, and I want to be happy and stuff, just the physical level. If our consciousness is only at the physical level, even to attain that, Brahmacharya is very, very important. We have a very limited time today. I'll try to go through as fast as I can, because there are so many angles to it. But today, for our side, for our topic of discussion, we limit it more to Brahmacharya from the yoga's perspective and more from the householders, not like the other problems that we have. So let's talk about what Lord Sri Krishna has to say about it. Sri Krishna has stressed it over and over in Bhagavad Gita about Brahmacharya. To see in the chapter 6, shloka 14, Prashantatma vigatam vi Brahmacharya vrite stitaha manas sayyam machitto yukta asit matparaha. So if you see here, Brahmacharya vrite stitaha, it's very clearly stated that the vow of Brahmacharya is necessary for meditation. Because this sense organ is so strong, it takes you out so much. Without having control on this sense organ, there is no way we can meditate for have any level of meditation. So it has an effect on the physical, mental level. He further says in the chapter 8, shloka 11, and also mentioned in Katha Upanishad, yogis practice brahmacharya in order to attain the goal. What is the goal? Self-realization, spoken of by the knower of Vedas. Self-realization sounds so simple, right? We're realizing who we are, and we always try to do everything else, right? We never bother about who we are because we think, okay, I can worry about that later. Let me do everything. Well, let me take care of other things out there. So everything that we do with yoga, with pranayama, with meditation, see, if you think of, so what are the happiest moments of your day? If you reflect on your day, there are several events that happen, but when you go to sleep, you have a good sleep, and you come back, is there anything that is any closer to that? You feel like, I felt so good. Nobody can wake up and say, I felt so bad, I had a deep sleep. Have you heard anybody saying that? Because what happens in deep sleep? The mind is the cause of problems. It is the one that is making you do everything that you want and you don't want to do. So it is taking you everywhere and stuff. That mind is absent in deep sleep. But the only problem is we don't know when we are in deep sleep. We know only after we wake up. So now, here what we are trying with all this thing is to know, to be aware of the state where what you are is that this mind is coming out of the self, the root, the chaitanya, the consciousness. It's like, I don't want to go in detail of that because there's more we have to go through, so I'm giving you a little bit gist of everything. Again, Lord Sri Krishna says in chapter 17, shloka 14, he emphasized again, brahmacharya is one of the requisites for the austerity of the body. Can't achieve it without that. And the same, so if we're going along, like Lord Shiva says, brahmacharya alone is the supreme penance. Don't have to do anything else. If you are just able to practice brahmacharya, that is the supreme penance. There is no penance greater than that in the three worlds. Because everything else is to pull us back inside and to know ourselves. So brahmacharya will help us there in attaining the Brahman, knowing the Brahman. And he further says that a brahmachari is a god in flesh and blood. He's gone to the extent of saying, I am what I am because of brahmacharya. He has this elevated state of glory because of the power of brahmacharya. And he says there is nothing one cannot achieve if you could preserve that sexual flow. Sounds so simple. It's like, how can it do this? Right? So as we go further along, we'll even look at it from scientifically. What is happening in the body? Why is it so important? Because my Guruji used to say, if somebody is like acting like a fool, not able to do things, she's like, "Iska dimag khali ho gaya hai." Iska dimag khali ho gaya, matlab, what does it mean? Is basically he's an empty-headed, because the brain that is formed is out of this fluid actually. But there is no duct that actually takes the fluid that's generated in the sexual glands all the way to the brain. But we'll see how that happens. Even in Atharva Veda, it declares Brahmacharya is the greatest among all religious observances. So the same with Jainism, Buddhism, and Christianity, Islam. They all preach it because it is so important. Even for once we're trying to achieve Kundalini Yoga, it's not possible because the Brahma Nadi has to be really, really strong. The nerve, Nadi means nerve. That strengthening the Brahma Nadi is not possible without brahmacharya, and attaining, realizing yourself is not possible without it. So the Brahmarandra, that is in the Sahasrara Chakra, so that to open that up is not possible. That's why it is stressed so hard. So let's even look from the scientific facts from what modern scientists have to say. because we are raised in very scientific bent of mind. So when we hear something that is more scientific, that gets through us very quickly and stuff. So this is Dr. Nicole. She says, it is a medical and physiological fact that the best blood in the body goes to form the elements of reproduction in both the senses. In both the sexes, I'm sorry. In a pure orderly life, this matter is reabsorbed. It goes back into circulation to form the finest brain, nerve, and muscular tissues. The sexual fluid that is generated, that we generate, it has two things. One is reproduction, other is secretion. So one of these two things has to happen then. So the vital fluid of a man carried back and diffused through the system makes him strong, manly, brave, and heroic. If wasted, it leaves him effeminate, weak, physically debilitated, and prone to sexual irritation, disorder function, aggression nervous system, epilepsy, and various other diseases and death. These all things, appear like something that's, but we'll as we go further, we'll really look at it. See, when Dr. E.P. Miller says, the waste of these spermatic secretions voluntarily or involuntarily, through artificial means, wet dreams, anything, because what we see around, that gets acted upon us when we go to sleep. It is almost universally the choicest blood enters into the composition of these secretions. So there's so much wide research that was done from various angles of scientifically, and the answer has been, except for rare few exceptions, it's always has been like it's very conducive to health. So to understand how does this fluid is formed, how is it formed? Like Bhramacharya is one of the foremost means video or semen is formed, is a very precious constant. It is formed like it's a very lengthy process, and there are like 7 steps. What we eat, the food that we eat, the first thing that it gets processed, it forms the child. From there, the blood is formed through that, the flesh, the fat, the bone, and the marrow. And finally, the product of all of the processing is the semen, or the sexual fluid. And it takes about 30 days for this process to get through this stage, right? We cannot even expedite it, make it faster. It's not possible. It's like 30 days, 4 hours. And even the scientists say that, like we eat about like 30 kilograms of food a month. I mean, depends what I'm saying. It's like 800 grams. That 800 grams of blood is formed, and of this, 20 grams of the sexual fluid is formed. It is so important. So there are many physiological reasons for it. Basically, unlike the sexual fluid, it contains substances of great physiological value, which is the nerve stimulants. Many doctors here, so I don't have to take these medical terms, they understand it much well than me. They contain lectin, they contain cholesterol, vitamin E, and the sexual hormones. They found a great remarkable similarity of chemical composition between the semen and the central nervous system, basically the brain, which is they both are rich in lectin, cholesterol, and phosphorus compounds. So the brain, we've seen many people who have, if you see anybody who's like really, have achieved of great things in life, in whatever field, you can be sure, or has a magnetic personality, has that ojas on their body, you can be sure that they have leveraged this. It's very harmful to both body and brain. So excessive involuntary seminal losses are debilitating to the nervous system and may cause nerve weakness. There's this disease called neurasthenia. Is how we pronounce it? Yeah, there you go. Excessive loss of this, whatever waste it is, voluntary or involuntarily, causes it. Voluntary causes even more, because when it's lost voluntarily through copulation, it actually arrests the complete nervous system. As I said, they said indicate that temporarily it exhausts the nervous system. And when it is repeated too frequently, it causes the nervous weakness. See people kind of shaking and things like that. So if you understand here, we're going a little more, because the yoga, see, to actually get into it, we need to know ourselves clearly to get through our practices and stuff. And not just about yoga, even to lead a healthy life. So the pituitary gland controls all the glands of the body, and you see, if you understand what controls the pituitary gland secretions, or who controls it, it is the level of lectin in the body. And it's like, where is this lectin? It's present everywhere. It's present in the blood, it's present in the brain, it's in the nerves. So for a powerful, what is the nutrition? What is the nutrition to the brain? That's lectin is the nutrition. So now you see the similarity between the sex gland emission and the brain, the central nervous system. What are the similar constituents chemically? It's the lectin, cholesterol, and phosphoric acid. So this is so important for us to really understand it scientifically. It makes us, there is this thing, there is the separation and there is the sublimation. It's like we always, try to control ourselves, but that doesn't help us so much. It's not so easy. But if you really understand, okay, if I put my hand in a fan, I get hurt. You really understand, you don't have to stop somebody, you don't have to teach it, but you understand it never. It's like you don't have to try, it just happens. The same thing, so the reservoir, it activates all the glands, energizes the brain. So this is where it's produced, and it activates the glands and it energizes the brain and stuff. Now there are two ways to do this, two ways it could be. If we use it, what happens is this enters into the bloodstream, the secretions basically, and it increases the lectin level, which actually nourishes the brain. But if we misuse it, basically through being more sexually active or getting out through various ways and stuff, what happens is the lectin that's across the blood, it actually separates from the blood and it actually gets pushed out. So there is this. So now this is just another interesting story here, the story of a gardener. So here's a gardener, it's like who cultivates a beautiful flower garden with various flowers and stuff. He takes the flowers and he makes a wonderful perfume of it. And what he does next? Puts them into the drain. He worked all this to do what? To put it into the drain. We think he's an idiot, but let's think about us, what we are doing. We work so hard, for so much, to processing through this food and everything and stuff. We produce this and then waste it. And at the same time, we try to do other positive things. We try to do yoga, we try to go to temples, we try to concentrate, we try to meditate, we try to do all these things. But we feel, why are we not getting success and stuff? Why am I not able to meditate? Why am I not able to be healthy? There is all of this. So then we feel like, okay, so should we completely to go for abstinence and it's not possible, what do we do? What is for us? What is Bhramacharya for householders? As it said, in the scriptures can be basically a householder can be a Brahmachari by sticking to the principles of our dharma, by moderation. And should be basically, this absolute moderation and stuff. So marriage cannot lead us to downfall. It's not for this, all these great things in life are not just for people who are like the sannyasis or other things and stuff. So basically we all can achieve this high elevated states that is described by the yogis by leading a dharma life, the dharmic life. So basically using this for progeny and kind of, and then so it's a leader, basically if you see many of our saints who has achieved realization, who has achieved, we have that unity, who are really, looked up very highly. They are like grihasthis, and a majority of them are grihasthis. Said like 99% of them are grihasthis. So it's very much possible. So when we talk about for a woman, what is Bhramacharya for a woman? So the same kind of fluid is produced by a woman, but this fluid does not come out, but it does, the fluid does not actually lose out of the body, but it actually gets out of it leaves the ovaries and stuff. So then that is also very debilitating for them. So these are certain very subtle things that are not openly talked about. These are not really, people are not very, it's always like a closed door conversation. It doesn't have to be that way. Because, there is, can you imagine, US from the year 1993 to 2003, they pumped in like $1.6 billion into abstinence programs because of so many problems that they had to deal with, and they found that this is the major cause. So they went into this, but they didn't got any much success through it. Because there's nothing wrong with abstinence there, but the program was not effective. There's been not really given the right reasons, right explanations, and right things for it. It's not just a taboo because of should not do this and this. And if you really educate it, the program was ineffective. But people have been trying. You see in schools, 1 out of 3 schools has this program. If it was not important, why would they give it so much? But they have not gained much success through it. So there is this, okay, if we say, we cannot, you cannot go at 100 miles per hour and suddenly put the brake down to 0. So then, what is it for me? So somebody asked Socrates, when I was older, I can't lead a life of abstinence, or I can't be just a life of, continence or celibacy. So how can I do it? What is for me? Is there any way as out? He said, he asked how many times can I have copulation in life? He said, Socrates replied, once in a lifetime. He said, it's not possible. That does not, there's no way I can do that. He said, okay, go ahead, do once a year. No, that's impossible. Once in a year, no, it's not possible. The pace I'm at, my desires and stuff, how I'm raised, how I've been through what I've seen, it's not possible. He said, okay, go for once a month. No, he's like, that's hard. I can't stay with once a month. So then he said, okay, here it is. And do twice a month, but that's going to reduce your lifespan. So that's twice a month is very difficult. I can't even stay for 2-3 days without this and stuff. And I said, don't worry then. Just go, buy a graveyard, and then do how many times you want. And this is my last advice to you. And see, we work all through this. The body works through all the young age, through the teens and stuff, and it actually contains it. But if we lose this at an early age, it is even have more debilitating effect. That's why, this thing, teens, it's very, very important, crucial that we get through this. We have conversations, because we first need to be educated to educate anybody else. We have to be convinced, not because of scripture. There's one thing, we don't have that kind of faith, so there is that. We have to be convinced from a body sense, how does it work, and for effectiveness, how does it use. So it's like you see people, all the sunken eyes, pale faces, loss of memory, loss of eyesight. There's so many other problems that you see through this. And you also see people, on the other hand, who made extraordinary achievements in life, magnetic aura, personality, charismatic personalities, very impressive speech. And this is the power. You can know for sure that it is because of this. So we all are convinced that it is important, like from a preventivist, how can we achieve it? If one does not, it's basically satsang, the thoughts, as you said, pure thoughts, actions, and deeds. It's like your company is very important, kind of company you have to seek satsang is very important. So avoid bad company. And so another thing is like this mantra helps us very much. Om Aryamaya Namah. Chanting this mantra helps us in Bhramacharya. Along the same lines, we had things when we really want to control ourselves and things go out of our hands and stuff. There is this bathing of the genital organs. That is very, very effective technique. Intoxicants, even the scientists have said, people who have taken intoxicants, they stimulate passion in them. and they lead to impotency, infertility, so weakening the society and stuff. So basically purity in thoughts, acts, what kind of pastimes, hobbies do we have? Just let's be cautious of it. Just kind of be conscious of it. So there are certain other mudras, yogic techniques that are very, very helpful in this yoni mudra, not from Bhramacharya. They'll definitely help us through Bhramacharya, but help us strengthening in various ways. It's like when we get into this tendon, when we get into these things where we are like, yoni mudra is like, so the mind, control the mind and breath, as we talked about, right? Even with the genital, the sexual fluid can be controlled through the mind. It's like when, it's like, so how do we do the yoni mudra? So we have the bioelectric energy that is inside us. I just wanted to be, so we have basically, we have the chakras throughout the body, the 7 chakras, the Muladhara chakra. When you actually pull your Muladhara chakra, right? Yoni mudra is like, you see that you're pulling your anus inside, and then you're exhaling the air out, and you're pulling the bandhas actually. So exhaling this air out, I mean, we can get through it a little bit more clear when I actually talk about the bandhas here. So this is, the Tribandha Pranayama is very, very powerful. Definitely helps us with Brahmacharya, but just as a person, it increases the life force in us so much that it's like really, really very, 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 I mean, there's no way I can really explain it to justify and do justice to its importance. So there is this, we talked about bandhas. There are the Tribandha Pranayama, these 3 bandhas together. Mool bandha is like when you're pulling your anus inside, you're actually doing. I want everybody to sit erect, in the back, and then you're doing the Mool bandha, which is you're pulling your anus inside, and then you're doing the Udyan bandha, which is you're pulling your navel inside. And then you're doing the Jalandhar bandha, which is you are pressing your chin to the throat, like this. So how you're doing it, you're exhaling the air out, and then you're not breathing in air inside immediately. You're leaving the air out and stuff. This is first one part of it. The other part is you're breathing the air in, you're filling your air completely, and then you're doing the bandhas, the Mool bandha, pulling the anus, Udyan bandha, pulling the navel inside. Jalandhar bandha is pressing the chin against the throat. So we'll do this pranayama quickly. It's like when you can slowly increase the duration for retaining the air inside. You can hold it extend it until 1 minute 40 seconds. Retaining the air inside slowly. Start from 15 seconds, 30 seconds, but it's advised to go until you can 1 minute 40 seconds. Don't go beyond that. Don't go beyond 2 minutes. And you exhale the air out. You can keep the air out and stay there, or you can slowly increase it from 10 seconds on to 40 seconds up to 1 minute. It's just for once. So let's try it once. Take a deep breath, everybody. We'll do the first part, which is breathing the air in and holding the air. Take a deep breath. Pull your hands inside, Mool bandha. Pull your navel inside, the Udyan bandha, and press your chin against the throat, Jalandhar bandha, and hold the breath. Slowly release the breath. And practice this more as you do. You need to do 3 times this pranayama, like both outside and inside is considered one pranayama. The second part is exhale the air out, do the same thing. Don't breathe in immediately. Let's do it. Exhale the air out. Mool bandha, put the anus inside, navel inside, chin against the throat. Slowly release, breathe in. Put a stopwatch with you when you do this technique. there's very few useful asanas, there are many, but some things. So asanas, when we talk about, we think of them as exercises, but they're not really. They don't work on just the physical plane, they work on the spiritual plane as well. They help us in controlling the senses, mind and body, and they purifies the body, nerve, and the muscles. So some of the key asanas that help with Brahmacharya is the Siddhasana, Pada Paschimottanasana, Sarvangasana, Mathyasana. These are some of the primary ones. There are many more that will help us. And there is this will culture that you're saying, I mean, basically, we can render pure, strong, irresistible by eliminating desires. But the thing is, like, sometimes we take a will, I'm going to take a vow saying that I'm going to be a brahmachari for a couple of days and things, not physically, but from my thoughts, acts, and deeds. So this will help us, and there's always, it's like I'm getting better, auto suggestions, like I'm getting better, I'm doing great and stuff. This helps us. And another one is staying busy. An idle brain is the devil's workshop. Being busy is the best way to control lust. There's a story of the mind and the ghost, you know that most of you probably heard about somebody, and when he does this thing, he gets a ghost who can do everything for him, but only thing you need to keep him busy, if not it'll eat you up. So the mind is like that ghost. You give work, it does it. When it's free, it'll eat you up by doing some things that you really not intended to and stuff. So then he went to a saint, asked him, what can I do with this ghost that I got? Said, keep it busy. Only way is, like headache, go up the pole and come down the pole until you tell anything else to do. So the same way, the chantings, the spiritual thoughts, all of these things are like helping, keeping the mind, there's all going inside while you're doing everything else and stuff. Keep it busy, fully occupied. Change how we look at things. When you look at, have them Mother Bhav, Ishwar Bhav, Atma Bhav, and for females like the Father Bhav, Ishwar Bhav, and Atma Bhav. When you look at it, it's all about thoughts. And Sister Bhav, some people fail with it, so always having this kind of culture, it's really, really very, very helpful. See, this thing is very subtle. It's easy to talk about other things which are more physical and stuff, but this is so subtle, so much, it's because we're not used to this and stuff. So it's really getting this is very primary, very, very fundamental. So this is not, you don't find, we don't get to see this very openly and stuff. And there are many curative tips. It's not easy, what's gone is gone. There's no way you can refill it actually. You think this body is like, unlimited storage, it can keep producing and things like that. That is not the case, you are using it up. But still it can help us, like amla powder. Amla helps a lot with this, increasing the potency and things like that. So the turmeric powder, this mixture, it helps quite a bit. You see the difference, it energizes you. Especially this is very helpful in the summer times. Amla is like really, really helpful. So, I mean, most of what I have here is from the books of my Guruji, like The Secret of Eternal Youth and Divya Prerna Prakash, and this has spiritual discourses. And then from Swami Shivananda, his book, Practice of Brahmacharya, is so open. He's a doctor by profession. And I mean, at one time he was like, you should read that book. It's really, really amazing. And the same thing, his disciple Swami Chidananda is like, it's actually the book is, this is not a book, is How to Practice Celibacy. It's very, very, and the other things that are references that help me, like from other saints and the scientists of this era. And my gratitude to my Guruji has relentlessly worked on social upliftment programs for the last 55 years. And he has distributed about like 1600, his guidance, 16 million copies of this book on Bhramacharya. And every year, the schools, they go to like numerous schools, and it's like last year about like 15 lakhs to 1.5 million students. They give this book, they kind of teach them, they go there, they conduct exams and stuff like that. 1.5 million students have participated in this. So he has done a lot in this. At the same time, there is this irony that what's going on in our country, at the age of 76, he was trapped in a conspiracy. After all this against The irony is like against sexual assault against a schoolgirl at the age of 76, one who has done all this all his life. And then there is this new rule of POCSO in India that was introduced 2-3 years ago. It's like a minor. I mean, if they basically, everything is an assault. If there is any assault, it is like it's a crime, and if the person is guilty until proven otherwise beyond doubt. If it's not able to prove that he's not guilty, he is taken as guilty and stuff. He's been there for 3 years now, 79. After through these 59 years or 55 years of service, at the years of 80, he was trapped into something that is just the anti of what it was. Again, so I'm very grateful for you all. I hope it was useful. If you have anything that you want to learn more about this or want to have copies of these books or material, you can always email me at this email address. So thank you very much.